guys, I'm back. Hopefully, I do have the freeze dryer going. Got lots of fruit going in there. It's been going for 47 hours. Some of that's strawberries, which does take quite a while. I'm going to try something new today. I got a nice, let's see, what is it? A pork loin center roast. And let's see, it was just under a kilogram, and it was about $10. So prices are going up. I wanted to try and salt cure this. So kind of, you know how you can get the fancy prosciutto, the meats for charcuterie boards that don't need to be refrigerated? I'm going to give that a go with this. But before I do that, I want to finish processing some onion that I have here to make some onion seasoning. So a little while ago, I cut up a whole bunch of onions to freeze dry, diced them all up, and I was left with the skins. Now, most people throw the skins out, but the skins actually have a lot of flavor left in them. If you want to make like a vegetable stock or an onion stock, you just boil them up that way. But what I wanted to do was make onion powder. And it's super easy. So after I finished chopping up that bag of onions, I put the skins and the pieces that didn't chop up so nicely or whatever into my dehydrator and just dried them out. So now I've packed them all into this jar. I'm going to take my immersion blender here, and we're just going to blitz it up into onion powder. And that's all there is to making some onion seasoning. You can do this in a blender or a food processor as well. Might be easier, but I just thought I'd give this way a try. We're getting there. We've got some powder going at the bottom. Smells so oniony. So I've got some really powdery and then some bigger flakes. I'll probably take them up to my my coffee grinder and get a nice finer grind, but this will do fine for the first step of my pork curing that I'm going to do. So first thing, we gotta take this out of the package. Put it in the garbage I have off to the side, and I'm gonna pat this dry. I don't always have paper towel around. I don't like using paper towel. I find it very wasteful. I just happen to have some with me, but what you can also do is I have lots of old t-shirts, don't fit or just not in the favor of the rotation anymore, or has a stain on it or something, and we'll cut them up into squares. And I'll use that instead of paper towel most of the time as well. I can just throw it in the wash, get sanitized, and then they're good to go. But there we go, a nice dry pork roast. So next thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use this little container first. I'm gonna put this on here. I'm gonna zero that so it now says 0. And we're gonna put this in. 896 grams. It's a little different than the packaging said. The packaging said it was 906 grams. I think. Sorry, 902 on the packaging, but 895, 97, 96. I guess it's not off by much. About 10 grams, that's fine. Sometimes you gotta watch that what you're actually paying for is what you're getting. So we're gonna round that up to 900 grams. Okay? So in here, I have a mix of 3 to 2 salt and sugar. So for every cup of salt, I have 2/3 of a cup of sugar. And I know there's supposed to be some special, for however much your meat weighs, exact amount of salt and sugar and spices. People have been curing meats for a millennia or longer, who knows. Way back, they didn't have precise measurements, so I hate measuring stuff anyways, but we're gonna keep a little bit of a tally here just so that we know when our meat gets down to fully cured. So when the meat is fully cured, it's supposed to lose 25 to 35% of its weight. So hence why we do want the starting weight. So I am going to start coating my meat, my pork here, with the salt and sugar mix. And I'm going to add some onion, just a nice big handful there. And I thought it would be nice to add some freeze-dried lemon and orange powder. Just, lemon and orange is a good combination with pork, so there we go. Mix this all in. Make sure we get it fully coated. Can't forget the ends. So the next step is to take a nice big freezer bag. You can get special curing bags. I looked at them online and they were like $45 for I think 3 or 5 of them, and they're not reusable. And they were going to take too long to get here anyways. So what I'm going to do is, again, keep coating this, transfer it to my bag, add the rest of my salt and sugar and seasonings. And then I want to squeeze as much of the air out. If you have a vacuum sealer, that would work too. Or another way to do it is fill up the sink with water or a bowl. And I might do this when I go upstairs, but fill up a bowl or a sink with water, submerge the bag in, and as it displaces the water will push all the air out of your bag and give you near to a vacuum seal as well. I'm going to write on here pork cured. Today is May 20th, and the starting weight $10.41. See right there. 1041 grams. So this is now going to sit in my fridge for the next 7 to 14 days until it loses about 10% of the weight. And then after that, I will take it out of the bag, rinse off the spices, the salt and spices, and it'll go back in the fridge, wrapped in a cheesecloth, and a little bit more salt on the outside of the cheesecloth until it gets down to that 25 to 35%. And then we should have a nice chunk of pork, similar to like a prosciutto, or I think there's another name that starts with L, it's Italian, of a cured meat that does not need refrigeration, that we can just slice off nice little slices for a charcuterie board, or kind of like a nicer jerky type thing. So I look forward to seeing how this goes. All right, I'm back at now. It's been a little more than 2 weeks. It's actually been almost 4 weeks since we have put our pork in our salt mixture into the fridge. Oops. It's still fine. So now the next step, they say, is to take it out. Yeah, it still smells fine. No funky smell or anything. Next step is to rinse off all the salt and spices that we did. So I will do that next. So it started the cure on May 20th, and it was 1,041 grams. Ooh, so there's all that salt and spices. So now that it's all washed, all the seasoning's been rinsed off. It's nice and clean. It is much firmer already than it was before. So we're going to weigh it now. Oh, wow. Look. So it was 1,041 grams. And now it's 761 grams. So it's lost like 300 grams of weight already. Next thing we're going to do is I'm going to put it into this dish. And we're going to add a little bit more of that salt and a little bit of seasoning. Not as much as before. Just a light coating this time. So just a light coating. Move this. And now I've got some cheesecloth. Put it down. I'm going to wrap it in cheesecloth. There's this other type of wrap that you can get for curing meats. I couldn't find it, so hence I'm using cheesecloth. It just kind of holds the meat together. So I don't want that much. Just want a couple wraps because I need the air to get at it. So I'll cut it off a wrap there. And because I don't know where any kitchen twine is, food safe kitchen twine, I've got this barbecue. It's for veggies, to put veggies on the barbecue so they don't fall through. I'm gonna just put it in here because this is gonna close it up nice and tight, hold that cheesecloth on there, but still keep air able to get to it. And fit in my dish and keep the meat off of, so the meat's not actually touching the dish. There's some space underneath that air can get at it from all angles. And we are going to put this back in the fridge for another 3 weeks or so. So yeah, it's going to go back in the fridge just like this. A little bit of salt, seasonings, wrapped in the cheesecloth to help keep any debris or anything that might get on it in the fridge. Like I said, it's in this dish, but this envelope is keeping it up off the bottom so air can circulate all the way around it. A regular refrigerator is kind of high. It's just a smidge high on the humidity that you actually want for doing this, but we use what we got and hopefully we'll have a good result in the end. See you in a few weeks. Hi guys, I'm back in my kitchen. It's been a few weeks, I think, maybe 2. I don't know, not really keeping real track of time, but pulled our cured pork out of the fridge and we're going to give it away. See how it's going. Okay, so as you see, we're about 625. Our starting was 1,041. we've lost about 40% moisture. Your sweet spot, I hear, is 35. So we're good. Let's bring out the slicer and see what this is like. Well, first I'm going to unwrap it and give it a rinse of that last bit of salt. Maybe. Let's unwrap it first. Some of that cheesecloth really got stuck here. It does not smell bad at all. It is quite hard. Like, can't bend it. And there's not really much salt. I forgot we didn't put too much seasoning left on it. I'm just going to pick off some of this extra stuff there. So as I said, it smells so good. It doesn't smell funky at all. There's no funkiness. Even where the fat is, where it's still a bit moist, but that's fine. The fat, that's fat. That does that. Oh, this smells so good. I'm going to pull out my slicer. We'll get some sliced up. Just a moment. So this is my slicer. I have quite the history with these machines. When I was in, I think I was grade 4, we had one of these at home, and I was slicing a cucumber. And if anyone's used one of these before, they're really sharp, even the home version versus the industrial versions at like delis. They have this guard. When something's longer than this part here, you can't really use the guard. You have to use the guard once it gets closer. I was cutting a cucumber and didn't start off using the guard because it was too long. And this can be used for meats or vegetables or whatever. And I think it was my brother distracted me, and I was getting really close. I probably should have had the guard on by then, and cut off. I don't know if you can see there. Got a huge scar there. I cut off the tip of my finger. We had to go to 2 different hospitals because the first one wouldn't take me. They told us to go to our family doctor. My finger was hanging off. So I had to go to the next town over to another hospital. By then I had half a roll of paper towel soaked with blood. But they finally took us in and couldn't stitch it up, so they bandaged it up and it's all good. They said any thicker and I would have lost the whole tip of my finger. So, note of safety whenever using a food slicer. Use the safety guards. Safety first. Alright, so got our food slicer. I'm going to take our meat. Look at that. That looks perfect. Ginger's here trying to get some. Sorry, Ginger, none for you. None for you. Nope, not for you. Here, I'll give you a fish instead. Here you go. Of course, wash my hands after giving the dog a fish before I go back to our cured pork here. Look at that. It smells amazing. Let's give it a taste. So good. Ooh, a little salty. I might give the outside a little rinse and let it dry a little longer, just to dry up the outside after rinsing off more of the salt. But it almost looks like a crystal. Like, look at that. This is going to be so good when we go camping, because it doesn't need quite the same type of refrigeration. Great for charcuterie boards and whatnot. Bless you. And Ginger's got the sneezes. So, a lot of articles I've read on curing meats, it talks about needing a kitchen scale that goes to 2 decimal points in grams and exact amount of this kind of spice and that kind of spice and this salt and that type of salt, and making sure that, you know, your fridge is at this exact temperature and that exact humidity. And look, meat curing has been going on for as long as people have been on Earth. Back over 100 years ago, you know, so it's been going on for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Even 100 years ago, did people have electric scales to go down to 0.00 or 0.01 of a gram? No. Did people have all these fancy curing salts and... No. Did they even have refrigerators? No. A lot of this time it was done in a hole in the ground, in a cold cellar, in a cave. So don't get overwhelmed if all your articles and instructions say this exact and the exact that. Okay, yes, you got to take precautions because it's meat. We don't want salmonella, we don't want food poisoning, but you know, our ancestors didn't have these things. Yes, it's great that we do, and we can use that information and these tools to our benefit. But if you don't have the exact specific curing salt, or it talked about most of the articles talk about a specific wrap. I just use cheesecloth. They talk about having a curing cabinet or a special fridge that's been altered to stay at a certain humidity. Well, that's the only thing you can use it for. I just use my regular fridge. So this can be done at home. It can be done quite easily and safely. But you just gotta use some common sense. Don't overthink it.
and enjoy the fruits of your labor. Because why not?